Good afternoon, families. I'm here to talk to you today about how to center a pot on a Coil style electric stove. Anna and Marcia both covered marking your stove very nicely. Mine isn't marked because I don't have anything to mark it with at home, but the important thing is to make sure that you've marked low, medium, and high. In this case, my off has a nice tactile sensation to it, so I don't need to mark off. But my stove on the knob is where the temperatures are, so I need to mark on the backstop where I turn that knob to, where I align it to get each of those temperatures. Check out Anna and Marcia's videos for more information about marking, because they did a good job. So the first thing to do for safety is to make sure that your stove is cold before you put your hands on it. So the way to check is to keep your hand at chest height and just feel over the stove. Make sure that you're not feeling any hot areas. The other thing that I've noticed with my stove is if the burners are on, I can often smell it. So you can always encourage your students to use multiple senses to make sure that the stove is safe. When you're sure that your stove is cold, another thing that you can do is a burner orientation. Just show your students that, in the front there's a small burner and a large burner, and which side those are on, and that in the back those are shifted. So the large burner and the small burner have traded places, basically. Your next step when you have a pot ready to go is to pick a burner that matches your pot size. So I can test this pot out. I always want to make sure that my handle is toward the outside of the pot, and it's often easier to hold the pot not by the handle, but actually by the pot itself with your pinkies down, so you can find that burner and place it. At that point, you can feel around with your hand or a wooden spoon to see if you can feel burner. In this case, I can feel burner all the way around my pot. So I know for sure this burner is way too big for this pot. So I need to move it to my smaller burner. Like that. Feel for it with my pinkies, and I can get it at least mostly aligned that way. And then I can either take my hand or my wooden spoon and feel around the edges of the pot to make sure that it's even all the way around. Or if I'm doing it with my hand, make sure it's even all the way around. Sometimes with these stoves, the coils aren't seated right, or they've warped, or you have a replacement part or something, and they can be sitting in an angle. So there is the possibility that it will shift due to gravity. If you suspect that it has shifted, you can always use your spoon and feel around the edges, and use that spoon to push your pot around to realign. Once they've moved it, always check to make sure that it's actually realigned and you haven't just shoved it too far in the wrong direction. The last thing that I want to say with this kind of stove is to make sure that your student is aware that these burners can stay very hot long after they've turned the burner off. Some stoves will cool off a lot faster. These ones stay hot, so kind of teaching your students to approach the stove as though it is hot every time, using multiple senses to keep themselves safe. So I hope this video was helpful, and happy cooking!